We'll go live now. Hello, everyone. Great to see you yet again. It is Friday and it is 12 o'clock, and we know what that means. It means it's the Get Hired Live. So wherever you are in the world, it is fantastic to see you. As you can see, we're in a slightly different place today, only because we had the mother of all technical issues last week. We had microphones going down, we had sound going, technical problems, the laptop blew up, everything happened. I'm hoping this week it's not going to do that, but you never know. So we've changed up a little bit and we've gone back into here. We've got a different background. I know that can be popular with some of you, especially whenever we're going live to anyone based over in France as well, with some of the French paraphernalia there. It's coming up to that time of the year where I like to go on holiday and taking the family over to France. So maybe I'm just getting into that spirit of things to be able to go there. As usual, make sure you say hi, introduce yourself, tell everybody whereabouts in the world you are as well. It's always good to know that we're beaming out to so many different places around the world, and especially about some of the topics that we are dealing with here, which we get asked a lot. I often get asked by candidates all the time about the impact of AI into hiring and how they can do something to make sure that they get beyond that and actually get hired. That is the way that we're going to be doing today. That's what we're going to be talking about today, specifically about the impact of AI on recruiting. As we know, AI is changing the whole world super quickly, super fast. Everything is changing. In some respects, we almost can't, I don't know about you, but I don't feel that you can almost keep pace with it, because what was happening just 6 months ago is already redundant. It's already moved on from there. There's yet new iterations that are coming. It's going quicker, more productive. And we're seeing it a lot in hiring, both from the candidate point of view, where you're seeing it with new applications, new ways of producing your CVs, your cover letters, your applications, and then from companies themselves in the way that they manage their candidates, what they do with their recruiting processes. And today I want to sort of talk a little bit about both. A little bit about what it means for you as a candidate and what it means from that perspective, and also in terms of what we should be doing to try and change that. But I think would be really interesting is sort of opening up the hood a little bit. Let's see what's happening inside companies. What are the decision-making points that they're going to be having in terms of implementing AI? Have they already implemented AI now? And is that actually going to be helping? The advantage really when we're going through with this is not using more AI, it's actually using AI better. So what we're going to be looking at is, look, how do you use AI to really give you a distinct advantage with your application process and what you need to be doing from that side as well. As ever with all of this, AI is there. We hear a lot that it's there to replace everybody. Nobody's going to be working, depending on who you listen to. It's a real doom monger that in just 5 years' time, none of us will be working. It'll all be robots. It'll all be bots out there doing it. I really don't subscribe to that. And I actually listened to an interview from Jeff Bezos quite recently, where he really flipped that on its head. He said, in actual fact, what AI will do is produce more jobs for people. We're actually going to have a hiring glut, because what will end up happening is it becomes so intelligent that it's creating new inventions, new processes, new ways of doing things. And that's what will actually then mean that we'll need more people in order to be able to do all the human aspects that we do. We're not going to be left to have our whole world run by an AI system anywhere. So that's it's really important. Let us know in the comments if you've got any particular questions on AI, or indeed where you have. So let's go straight into what we think is the impression of AI for candidates out in the marketplace. And I want to go head on here. We hear a lot on LinkedIn, and I don't know whether you've seen this as well, a lot of debate from both people trying to sell services to beat the ATS. You're being screened out by AI, you're not going to be seen by a human, this is what you need to do. And then on the flip side, you see an awful lot of recruiters out there that will say, calling that out, that's complete rubbish. It's always a human that's screening everything. There are no no AI systems that are screening through on the ATS to do that. What do you think is the actual answer here? What is actually truthful in all of this? Well, as ever, the truth is sort of somewhere in the middle. It's not one extreme or the other. So let's just take on head on both of those different areas. First of all, the ones that we see, and I'm sure you've seen it as well, plenty of posts out there from people who are saying, I've got a system here that means that you can optimize your CV, you can beat the ATS, you can get seen. We got the matching keywords that we will go through on that. We guarantee that you will be seen in that. Most of those people, in fact, I would probably hazard a guess, I can't do 100%, maybe 99.9% of them are talking rubbish. That doesn't work like that. There isn't some sort of AI system that's out there mass rejecting people by doing that, and the ATS itself is not actually doing that. However, there are systems out there, absolutely 100%, that are tagged into ATSs that will be doing some of that work. So the way that companies are going to be starting to look at that is in a number of different areas, both from sourcing, but in this instance, matching. So the matching AI is basically where you will have candidates coming in there and they want to try and make their recruitment process more efficient because there's such a large volume of candidates that are coming in. How do we go through all of these CVs and try and help the recruiter to make a decision? And that bit is the key. AI is not going to be there to mass rejecting. So if you think that you are applying for a role and you're getting rejected by AI, the system is rejecting you before a recruiter's ever seen you, that is not happening, and it shouldn't be happening. So if a company has implemented something like that, it won't have done that correctly. Jamie, hi, good to see you. Is there a first pass by AI, then further oversight from a human? Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's be clear here, not everyone's implemented this. So there's a lot of organizations that are still, everything is manual. So you do your application, you send it up, and it could be, there's lots of different ATSs out there, whether it's Workday, SuccessFactors, Greenhouse, iSIMS, etc. There's a number of them that people use. And what will end up happening is that with the people who have got no other intelligent systems, they will have the recruiter going through their list of who has applied and then making a decision as to who they're going to accept, reject, move forward, or in a lot of cases, just ignore and not send any message at all, which is super frustrating, but that's what can happen. Then you have some that have started to implement basic screening technology. So none of this is particularly new. So in Workday, for instance, they used to have an add-on partner called HiredScore that for many, many years used to do very basic algorithmic look at a CV and match it on keywords. So absolutely they did that. And it would give a percentage of where it is. Now, a lot of recruiters didn't trust it. So they basically ignored it. So they would have, every single candidate would have a score against it, and it would be a percentage. So they would probably say, oh, here's somebody at 80%, here's someone at 40%. But generally speaking, it wasn't intelligent enough or consistent enough for recruiters to go forward. But let's be clear, even in that technology, the system wasn't rejecting. It was the recruiter that would do the rejection. Now, HiredScore in Workday has actually acquired that company, and they've now upgraded it. They do have agentic AI, which is intelligent, so they can read the entire CV. It's not keyword matching or doing anything like that. It's reading it, and it's then understanding the match between that and what you're asking for in the job description and what you do. You will set that up and prompt it right at the beginning, and then it will give another score again, and it'll say to you, it's 80%, it's 40%. But again, what it will do is it'll prompt for the recruiter to make the decision. So all it's doing is just giving a guide to it. Ellen, hi, great to see you. Yes, there are lots of scammers targeting job seekers. Absolutely right. There really, really are. And please don't be tempted by them. Invariably, you will see the scammers out there who would say, I've got this amazing system that will manage to get you through the AI screening, will guarantee you to get an interview and all this kind of stuff. It's nonsense, and it's usually some very basic little system that they're trying to flog, that is written by someone who's never been in recruiting in their life. They're just trying to make a quick buck. They're often quite expensive. Do not feel tempted by it. Do not fall for it. That is one of the good things where a lot of recruiters call that out, and I think it's absolutely right to call it out, to try and help people, because if you've been looking for a job for 3 months, 6 months, 7 months, 9 months, 12 months, it can, you know, the pressure will ratchet up, and you will then feel tempted to go down that route. So please don't do that. Pauline, Workday AI has bias. Yeah, Mobley versus Workday in the US courts. Absolutely right. There is an ongoing court case where they had one of the more original AI systems where they used to do that. The difficulty they did there was where they did actually filter out and filter through, and where they were doing, and obviously where this particular case is questioning, is the fact that it was inherently biased. So in other words, it was screening out people of a particular race or gender, and that's where there becomes a much of a difficulty there. There is a lot, and it's really important to do this. Look, there's a lot of regulations, especially in Europe, that govern AI. In EU, we've got the EU AI Act that's coming through. There's a lot of different regulations. As we know, there's lots of regulations coming through in the UK as well. But it's there to govern AI so that we can try and minimize any of these kind of things that could happen. Muriel, hi, good to see you. Should not is the correct expression. I once received a rejection email 15 minutes after I'd sent my application during a bank holiday weekend. Yeah, that's always good. This is a really, really interesting point here, Muriel, because I think a lot of people will ask about exactly that point. How much do they get to, are they being screened out by AI in these kind of situations where you're sending it through, and quite clearly on a bank holiday week, and you think, well, are they really working at that point? Now, in reality, exactly, they should not be having their AI auto-rejecting. And in the overwhelming majority of cases, that is not happening. It's not happening. So you getting a rejection, especially 15 minutes later, it might well be the recruiter is actually working. Sometimes they will, most of them work remotely nowadays. They will just log in. They might just happen to have logged in and actually flick through and reject, and they might be really up on it. So it's good they're actually doing that. The other thing that you'll find is that you get questions similar to that question that you had, Muriel, where people will make an application and then they say, I made the application on a Friday and then on Sunday I got it, or on Christmas Day I got a rejection. That is where they've poorly set up, and quite a lot of systems will put a delay on when they send the rejection letter out, because what they will have is they think that candidates will have, like you did, Muriel, where the recruiter might well have just been logged on, just right place at the right time, or perhaps wrong place at the wrong time in your instance, and they've just looked at it, pressed, yeah, no, that's not quite right for the role, press the rejection for it, and it automatically sends a communication out. A lot of companies will set a delay, either 24 hours, 48 hours in terms of a delay. Sometimes they do it in odd numbers to try and filter it through in a different time. Of course, what that means is you will be seen by that recruiter. They will have pressed the rejection button at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then at 2:30 in the morning, you get a rejection email, and you think, how on earth has that happened? That's clearly AI that's done that, and it's not. It's just that they've set it up in a way that creates these kind of problems. That's why I'm actually more of an advocate that I think, if you are viewing them and doing it, send the rejection there and then. Don't put the delays on it, because it creates some of that confusion and real frustration, I think, for candidates as well. So look, that's the way that people are sort of implementing AI. So don't be fooled also by the plenty of recruiting. There's lots of posts, I see it a lot on there, where they say, and give the phrase, the ATS is not rejecting your system. There is no AI in ATS that's doing it. The ATS won't do that. Now, technically, they're correct, because the ATS is just a database. But there are add-ons that all of them have now. There are AI screening tools that they will have that match for you. So they have special matching capability, like Hired Score in Workday. All of them have their own systems that they're doing, and all of them will be able to do the same sort of scoring technique for it. And so, yes, there will be those systems. And as I say, more and more of these are being adopted now. So what you will probably find is as you go along, you're going to be scored more and more. So what does that mean for you as a candidate? What can you do to accommodate the changes that are taking place? Well, before we sort of look at practical ways that you can try and deal with that, we also need to understand why these companies are bringing this all in, because there is a lot of reasoning for it. Now, obviously, number one is what we've talked about before a lot, is the fact there are so many applications taking place now. Whereas 10 years ago, a role would be taking between 40 to 50 applications at any one time. On average, sometimes a lot less, sometimes a little bit more. But it would be rare that you would have more than 80 odd. It wouldn't be going over 100. So you had a fairly good hit rate of being able to look, if I apply for 20 odd roles, I'm pretty much guaranteed I'm going to get a few callbacks, I'll get some interviews. It really was a numbers game. That's sort of how it worked back then. But it's changed now. And what recruiters are finding, what I'm finding, whenever I post up a job, that invariably, and it doesn't matter what location it is, you can get hundreds of applications. I've had, and each time it gets worse. So a year ago, I was talking about a role that I put up that in the first 24 hours in the UK, I got over 250 applications in the first 24 hours. And I thought that was, wow, this is just, the market's gone crazy. Everything's changing so much. It's just becoming so much now. That is being beaten. I've had another one in my team in another location in Europe that posted up a job and got 500 applications in the first 24 hours. 500. Now, what that means is that the recruiter is just overwhelmed. And if they've not implemented any AI matching systems to try and assist them and help them, they've literally got to go through 500 CVs to try and work out, okay, which are the best. And so what they'll end up doing is start to go through them all, and they're not going to pick them all. They probably could, they're going to want to present their top 5 to the hiring manager, which probably means they're going to reach out to 10 or 15 people out of 500. So your chances of getting seen are pretty low, even if you are the most qualified person for that role. And this is the real frustration I think so many qualified candidates are having right now, is that they will say to me, I've seen this role, I'm perfect for it, I've literally done the same thing and everything else. Why I've not been contacted, I'm now being rejected, and they've not even spoken to me, not even getting an interview. Why is that? And it's probably because there's another 25 other people who are also equally qualified to be able to do the job as the same as you, if not better. And that's the challenge that I think that so many candidates are having right now. Hey Dougie, good to see you. I had a 7-minute pre-screening AI voice interview today for a job. That's always lovely, isn't it? First time for me that AI has carried out an interview with me. It was quite efficient and not as bad as I thought. That's good. It was going to be. It gave me the chance to ask questions as well, and that's really fascinating. And it's interesting. We can get to that as well, because Dougie, absolutely, as you're saying, AI is not just about matching in the system for the applications, but also that next stage, so our interview as well. And it's interesting to see where it is, because we all have that fear for when you first hear, oh my God, I'm doing an AI interview. It's the first screen of it, but it's not as bad. And the fact that you can ask questions, I think in a lot of those, especially for the AI bots that we're all getting more and more familiar with, because whenever you're going to your car insurance, home insurance, your bank, or anything else like that, it's basically all AI. It's all automated to start off with you, and no longer are we speaking to anyone anymore, which is a whole nother rant altogether, but I'm not going to go down that road. But it is absolutely what we're doing is now seeing way too many of these, but it means we're familiar with it. And it probably means in your case, Dougie, that it felt relatively familiar. for you to be able to do it. And if it's intelligent enough, which all of these are becoming more and more intelligent to be able to do it, then what you're finding is that you're able to exactly that. You're able to ask questions, to be able to see that and see where it is. I think the difficulty that candidates have and people have is the fact that you have no real influence over another human. And that's the bit that we want to make sure that when the company are implementing and that you need to do with AI, you're keeping an exceptional candidate experience and you're enhancing the human interaction, not removing it. And I think that's really, really important for that to happen. So we're getting mass applications coming in, so many more applications coming in. And then we're going to start getting fed, as we can see there with Dougie, we're starting to see AI creeping in terms of the interview process as well. What does that mean for you as a candidate? Because you are still up against it with, if you're application only strategy, how do I get by with trying to be seen by the recruiter, trying to be seen by the hiring manager, trying to put myself front and center to make sure that I sort of bypass some of these things. And that's really important for you to do. Hey, Anna, I hope you're well. I've been constantly being rejected for roles that I have a perfect fit for. I'm so sorry to hear that. No, why? Just we choose to proceed with other candidates. There's no way of getting through to interview stages. And Anna, what you're having there is what a lot of people are feeling. A lot of people are getting through that in that same way. It is super frustrating to do that because, and I suspect a lot of it is, Anna, is what we talked about just a little while ago. They're just getting so many applications coming through, they can't interview everyone. So you absolutely probably are highly qualified for a role, but you're up against 20, 30, 40 other people who are highly qualified for that very same role. And so it's still a bit of a lottery as to which one they're going to choose. And if they've already gone through that role and they've already identified a dozen people, they'll probably just look at it and think, I don't need any more. I literally don't need any more. And that's why, if we sort of come off the AI topic, but that's why what's so important is to make yourself visible, is to get seen. You know, the way to get through and around this problem for people like yourself, Anna, in fact, it's every job seeker. I know that doesn't necessarily help you, but you're not alone in this. It is literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are feeling exactly the same principle here. But what makes a difference is that if you are just relying on the application only, so all I'm doing is sending the application in, I sit and wait, and I'm hoping that I get lucky in that lottery, then you could be in for a very, very long wait. So my advice here is that what we've got to try and do is look at multi-level ways of trying to enhance your application. And the way that you do that is you've got to get visibility. You've got to get seen by the recruiter. You've got to get seen and noticed by the hiring manager, by the interview team, by the people in those companies. And it's not just about, I'm just going to message them. So I've got an application, I send it through, I find out who the recruiter is, and then I send them an email or send them a message on LinkedIn. By the way, I've just applied for a job, here's my CV. That's almost the worst thing you can do because you're still not differentiating. What you've got to do is differentiate yourself, create your value, demonstrate your skill sets. And LinkedIn is amazing for doing all of that because every single person, just about, that you're ever going to be working with, working for, who's going to be hiring you, going to be interviewing you, is going to be on LinkedIn. And that's your opportunity, is creating content and being able to demonstrate and show your value to your target audience. So not to the whole world, your target audience. And how do you do that? Well, you start to follow that company, make sure you understand who it is that's working there, connect with them, and then start interacting with their content as well. Putting insightful comments in there, creating content yourself that matches the kind of thing that they're talking about. That's where you're starting to demonstrate your value. And what that means is you will get seen by those recruiters, by those hiring managers, by the people who are interviewing. And guess what? Suddenly they will have name recognition. They will start remembering Anna. They'll start thinking, I know about Anna, I've seen all of it. And then if you then have an application that's gone in, they will probably see you more. Or, which is what you really want, they will recognize this person is perfect for the role that we've got here. Why doesn't somebody reach out to them and speak to them? And usually what happens is the hiring manager will talk to the recruiter and say, can you reach out? I saw this person online. They could be really good. Here's their LinkedIn profile. I really like what they were talking about, XYZ. Really fits with what we're looking for. And then the recruiter will just ping you a message on LinkedIn. And then before you know it, you've jumped the queue. And that's really what it's all about, is how do you get seen so that you can jump the queue? You're no longer just one excellent fitting person out of 20, 30, 40, 50 people. You suddenly become the person that they need to talk to. And that's the whole point of it. So what's really important is making sure you do that. And that's where AI can come in for you as a candidate. It's not just about your applications. As important as that is, because of course, ChatGPT and Claude and lots of all of these different other AI platforms out there can absolutely help redesign your CV, can help make it look good. You don't need to start going off and buying CV templates. AI can help you to do that. So make sure you utilize it, because absolutely you're still going to need to make strategic applications. You're still going to need to do that. But get that also to start plotting your target audience. Who are the movers and shakers in that? That'll give you that information. It'll do the hard work for you. Ask it to create good content, to give you ideas on what you should be talking about that's going to resonate with that audience, because that's what you need to be doing in order to really make that difference. The way that modern recruiting is, it is not just about application. It is a whole 360 degree. I know it means a lot of work, but it absolutely is. It's not just about optimizing your CV, doing a wonderful cover letter and just sending it out to as many different applications as possible. It's about strategically applying, and it's about utilizing AI to help maximize what you can do to get visible. And obviously LinkedIn is that favored platform to be able to do it. That's the place where you can really make a big difference. So what can you use specifically as a candidate when using AI? And maybe put in the chat here. I'd be fascinated to find out what your preferred AI platform is. I use two. So I use ChatGPT and I use Claude. I use both of them for different purposes. So what I found is that as I'm starting to utilize and trial lots of different AIs, and I've been using it now for quite some time, that both of them are each are quite good in certain areas of what you want to do. What you've got to do is work it out for yourself, but I'd be fascinated to see which ones you use, or if you don't use any at all, put that in and say it, that I'm not using them. But let's see what it is that you can use and how can you use it. So analyzing job descriptions is a fantastic, good first start. So if you're not sure where on earth you need to go, look, have a look on when you're doing your research and you're going onto a job board, you're going onto LinkedIn, you're looking at different jobs that you've got there, you think this is the one that I really like, then cut and paste that job description, put it into your AI platform and ask it, prompt it to say, this is who I am, this is what I'm looking for, and here is a job that I've just seen it. Give me an analysis on this job description, identify the key skills that are in this and what kind of language the employers are looking for. And it'll start to analyze it for you, and it'll start to put it, maybe ask it, I often ask it, put it into plain English, because I want it to be just, look, dumb it down for me, make it as simple as possible so I can understand that. And then once you've got all of that, you can start to get a real sense of what it is they're looking for. Now I accept that, of course, what happens is that job descriptions can be a bit generic. They've probably used AI to start creating it. But look, it gives you a fairly good insight as to what it is that they're looking for. Kate, Claude only right now. Yeah, look, I've been using Claude a lot more. I found it probably more accurate than ChatGPT. I'm finding it more relevant now, and it's more modern in where it is. So I think that ChatGPT tends to be sort of almost lagging behind by a couple of years in terms of what's coming out with it. Anna, I use loads of them. I prefer ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Cursor. Yeah, it's great. And I'm a real big advocate. I think you should utilize a lot of these big platforms to see which ones work well for you. And the more that you trial it and the more you do it, I think you're going to get a really good sense of which one works. Kate, I use it mainly to highlight if I have not addressed something in the job description. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good way of doing it. I think it's a fantastic way of trying to work that out. And that gets to the thorny subject of customizing and tailoring your CVs. Again, I know there's a massive debate out there in terms of whether you should be customizing your CVs, whether you should just use the same CV, what you should do with it. If you are using the same CV and mass applying with that and not changing it whatsoever, then you are making your life more difficult. Because I always say, look, think about it in this instance. If you were selling your wares out to someone, you were selling a product and you were going to lots and lots of different companies, would you have the exact same pitch for every single company that you had? Probably not, because what you want to do is you want to make it personal and authentic for them. Because what one company's needs are is going to be very different to another one. What their pain points are is going to be different to another one. Yes, there's similarities, of course there are. And of course, your core skill set is still going to be there. But if all you're doing is just listing every single thing that you've ever done, then that's what they will look at and think, well, they just do everything. And yeah, they've done a little bit of what I'm after, but I really, really want that one. And it doesn't look like they've done that enough. But you might well have done. And that's why it's really important to customize your CV. From my point of view, every single application, you should have a customized CV. You should tailor it for the application you're going for to give you the very best chance of hitting what you need to hit. So use ChatGPT, Claude, whichever one it is, to exactly that, helping. So once you've identified the skills, the language, analyze the job description, then use it and ask it to help you customize your CV for that. That will absolutely help you. Anna, specifically for job listings, finding new companies, understanding them, and the roles to then apply, really good. I think that's a fantastic way of using it as well. Doing the sort of market analysis, I find all of them are really good at doing that and positioning you so that you can actually know where you want to apply. Jamie Lee, ChatGPT, but I sense check and have had to ask for more of human language. Me too. I'm the same. And less system generated feel. Yeah, I find that happens a lot. I'm constantly correcting, probably less so with Claude. I don't know whether anyone else has found that, but Claude sort of seems to feel a lot more intuitive. It sort of remembers when I give it an instruction, say, please don't do this or don't do that. It remembers. With ChatGPT, it just keeps on creeping back again. And so like, especially with punctuation marks, the way that it writes, Americanisms, and I keep asking it not to do that. I've reset it all so it should be in English, UK English, but it still won't do it. And it keeps on creeping back. So I don't know whether you found that as well. So it's really important to keep correcting it, prompting it really well. I think makes it better. So you've done that CV bit, but 100% you should be using, and I would suggest using Claude rather than ChatGPT, but use it to constantly optimize your LinkedIn profile. We all need to build stronger LinkedIn profiles. I am constantly tweaking it, my own. So I used to be probably the same as everyone else. And I'm in recruiting, where you would create your LinkedIn profile and then you would leave it there and not change it. And there it was. It was just what it is. And you're not really changing until you change job and then you update it and put another profile on there. Absolutely change it. If you are job searching right now and you've had a few challenges in terms of waiting, not getting feedback, not being looked at, having conversations, go to your LinkedIn profile. Before you do anything, go to your LinkedIn profile and change it. Optimize it for what you're looking for. Does it say what it should do about it? And AI can absolutely help you. Claude is fantastic at it. You can cut and paste your own profile in there. So you put the link into it and ask it to analyze it. Make sure though, you ask it to analyze it from a point of view. So say, look at this as if, so let's say you're in sales, look at this as if you are a sales director for a pharmaceutical firm looking to sell this kind of product to this kind of market. What does my LinkedIn profile say to you about that? Does it fit that kind of job, or tell me where it's missing out? So give it that instruction, that amount of prompting, and then let it come back to analyze that. And it will really, really help you maximize what you need to do on that side. Kate, I have to gently remind Claude to dig deeper in its memory for things I have already shared. It's so frustrating when that happens, but I do notice they're getting better. I think we'll find that a lot of these little minor tweaks that we have, where we're having to constantly remind them, I think that's going to get better. I mean, like I say, I get frustrated with ChatGPT a lot on that. Claude a little less so. I think it almost seems a bit more intuitive for me. It may not be for you, but yeah, absolutely. You know, it's really important to keep on pushing it. And then once it's done that, make sure that you rechange that LinkedIn profile so it really is telling people when they go onto your profile what it is you're doing. And if you're looking for a job in accounting and wherever it might, make sure that that is. If you're looking for a job in marketing, make sure it's showing that, it's demonstrating your value, it's showing what you can do. It is absolutely answering the questions that your target audience is posing. Does it solve the problems that they've got? Is it actually, so when somebody goes onto your profile, do they look at it and think, yeah, this is somebody I need to contact, and for the job that I know I've either about to post or I've already posted, that's the person that's going to solve that for me. And more, this is the way the world is working. And it's not just recruiters, but everybody is checking things out on LinkedIn. Recruiters obviously will use LinkedIn Recruiter predominantly to be able to search, to look and find and refine. And there are AI systems on LinkedIn now with hiring assistant that does the searching for them. They will do in the same way. You will prompt to LinkedIn to say, this is what I'm looking for. Here's the job description. This is what I want. You tweak it slightly. They'll give you some sample profiles. You tell it yes to this, no to that. You maximize that. You take about half an hour putting that all together. And then, hey presto, guess what it does? Every morning, it will feed you 15 new profiles that match exactly what it is that you're looking for. It's saving the recruiter from doing all the searching. So even the searching time is going to be starting to be reduced, that recruiters are going to do. And that's why it is so important now that if you want to get ahead in recruiting, do not forget your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you're maximizing it. Make sure that you're optimizing it for the jobs that you're looking for. It's not just about your CV anymore. It is absolutely about LinkedIn, your profile there. And if you're not doing that, you are absolutely at a disadvantage. So hopefully that's clear. I think I've been very clear about that because it's really important and it will really help you get seen there. So yeah, absolutely. We've seen that you can research companies, people, markets, but also you can prepare your interviews as well. And we saw earlier with Jamie, you know, that had the AI interview. You know, you can use AI to prepare for those interviews. Ask it, this is the job, here's the description, this is the company, check that all out. Give me a prediction of the types of questions I'm going to get asked. Ask the questions as if you are a peer of mine, if it's a peer interview. Ask the questions if you are the sales director for a sales role, a marketing director for a marketing role, the owner of the company. It will work that out for you, and you're going to be able to prepare better interview answers when you're doing that. And that's why it's really important to utilize it for that as well. Practice those competency questions. So again, it will start to be able to help you as your assistant, as your career coach. It's going to really be able to help you, but you've got to prompt it there. Make sure you ask it to say, this is the person that's interviewing me. This is the kind of title they've got. This is the position they have. Think about it as if you are that person. What would you be asking me? Based on here's my CV, here's the job description. It will help you do that. It'll find those gaps that you've got, and it'll absolutely help you to do that as well. So look, I think once you've got all of that, absolutely it will help you throughout that process. And indeed, when you get to that point of final interview, of negotiation, it can even help you on that side of things as well. You again, prompt it well, explain what's happening. The most important thing though, as ever, don't just take everything. So, I always say don't cut and paste it and just put it straight in, make it authentically, and personalize it, edit it, use it as an assistant prompt, not that just something I'm going to cut and paste. And in the same way, if it is provided for you, it is not infallible. It can make mistakes. Use your instinct. Look at it. If it doesn't feel right, challenge it. If it doesn't feel right, you don't have to use it. But what it's there to do is to give you prompts and advice to try and help you along that process. That's the way that you can do it. It's sort of using AI as a coach. It's not a ghostwriter. It's not there to write the entire thing for you and you don't have to do anything. It's sort of there, to use it, and I use it like this, to sharpen my thinking, not to replace it. So I want it to try and help me to get better thinking of things, but I'm not there that I'm just going to say, I don't want to do anything anymore. I just want you to do everything for me. Of course not. So it's really important that you keep your voice. It's your stories, your evidence that you want to have. It's making sure that you utilize it to help you, but it's there to help you become more human, not to become less. And that way, I think you will really help. Now, as ever, we've flown through this session. Thank you all so much today. It's been super interesting. It's a subject that I think that is will continue to be a real challenging one, I think, for so many different positions, whether it is the hirers themselves, the interviewers, the candidates. There are so many different challenges that we have. AI is constantly updating and constantly getting better. Be warned, as I mentioned right at the beginning, there are unfortunately plenty of people out there who are trying to get an advantage, trying to scam you, trying to show an easy way of doing things. This market is tough, and it's tough because there are macroeconomic conditions, but also it's tough because technology is changing so much. There are so many different changes happening, and AI in particular is having a massive impact. What's really important to understand is there is no magic pill. There's no silver bullet, whatever metaphor you want to use. But what you can do is use a whole 360, making sure you're using all different avenues and use technology to help you actually get through. With that, I will leave you to a great weekend. Hopefully it is nice and warm wherever you are. I know it's getting warmer in the UK, even up here in North Yorkshire, which is notoriously cold, but it is getting better. Wherever you are in the world, have a fantastic weekend. It's great to see you as ever. We will see you next week, and take care and see you then.